Have you ever wondered why some people in their 70s and even 80s in Japan still walk upright, move gracefully, and seem to glide through their day without that sluggish heaviness most of us associate with getting older? You see them at sunrise in Kyoto parks or in the quiet courtyards of Okinawa, elders moving slowly but deliberately, lifting their heels up and down while seated, as if pumping invisible energy into their veins. It's not Tai Chi. It's not yoga. It's something much simpler. And yet, as new studies out of Kyoto University and the University of Tokyo have shown, it might be one of the most powerful anti-aging exercises on the planet. Western researchers now call it the seated heel raise, but in Japan, it's known more poetically as ashi no kokoro, the heart of the legs, because deep in your lower limbs sits a muscle so overlooked, so underused, that most people have no idea it even exists until it starts failing them. It's called the soleus, and medical scientists are now calling it the body's second heart. Why? Because this one muscle, no bigger than a loaf of bread, literally pumps blood back to your upper body against gravity, keeping your circulation alive and your energy levels stable. When it's asleep, you feel tired, heavy, swollen, and unstable. But when you wake it up, everything changes. Let's break it down. The soleus sits deep under the visible calf muscle, the gastrocnemius, that rounded shape you might see in a mirror when flexing your leg. But the soleus is quieter, flatter, and much more endurance-oriented. Its job isn't about power or jumping, it's about persistence. It contracts slowly, rhythmically, every time you move your ankles, helping push oxygen-rich blood back up from your feet toward your heart. Think of it as your body's hydraulic assist system. The heart can only pump blood down. The soleus helps bring it back up. And here's the shocking truth. As we age, especially past 60, this muscle becomes underactive by as much as 80%, simply because we sit too much and walk too casually. You read that right. Walking doesn't fully engage it. Studies published in Frontiers in Physiology, 2023, confirmed that the soleus muscle is only lightly stimulated during normal walking because the knee angle stays mostly straight and the muscle never enters full contraction. That means even if you're getting your 10,000 steps a day, your second heart could still be dormant. And when it is, you feel it swelling in the ankles, cold feet, fatigue that lingers after a short walk, or that frustrating feeling of, I'm moving but my body's not waking up. Here's where the Japanese have been quietly decades ahead. In several regions known as blue zones, places where people routinely live past 100, researchers noticed a curious habit among the elderly. After meals or during conversations, they'd often sit and rhythmically raise their heels in small, controlled pulses, sometimes for minutes at a time. No gym, no weights, just a mindful movement that seemed almost meditative. When Dr. Kenji Takahashi, a cardiovascular surgeon at Osaka Medical College, began studying this habit, he found measurable improvements in circulation, lymphatic drainage, and metabolic efficiency after only 2 weeks of daily practice. He nicknamed the movement Kaido Undo, the return flow exercise. His patients reported warmer extremities and improved sleep. In lab tests, soleus activation increased blood oxygen levels in the brain by nearly 15%, simply by performing heel raises for 10 minutes, twice a day. 15%. That's more than most brain health supplements ever achieve. Now here's the kicker. Researchers at the University of Houston recently discovered that when the soleus is properly activated, It can sustain oxidative metabolism for hours without fatigue. In plain English, that means it can keep burning glucose for adults who struggle with insulin resistance, slow metabolism, or prediabetes. In fact, in a 2022 clinical trial, activating the soleus through seated heel raises increased whole-body glucose uptake by 52% and fat oxidation by nearly 60% during rest. That's like turning your legs into mini metabolic furnaces while sitting in your favorite chair. It's gentle, but it's powerful. And unlike high-intensity cardio that stresses your joints and spikes cortisol, the seated heel raise works with your body's natural rhythm, training it to circulate, energize, and heal from the inside out. Now, I want you to try this with me, not just as an exercise, but as a moment of reconnection. Sit tall in a sturdy chair, with both feet flat on the floor. Don't slouch. Imagine a string pulling the crown of your head upward, lengthening your spine. Rest your hands lightly on your thighs. Not to press, but to stay grounded. Keep your toes anchored to the floor, and slowly lift your heels as high as you comfortably can. Feel that stretch, that squeeze at the back of your lower legs. Hold it for a second or two, then gently lower your heels back down. Nice and slow, no bouncing, no rushing, just rhythm. Up, pause, down. Up, pause, down. Do this 10 to 15 times, and really focus on the feeling, the warmth, the pulse, the sense that something deep inside your legs is coming back to life. Because it is. What you're doing here is awakening dormant capillaries, flushing out stagnant fluid, and retraining your nervous system to communicate with a muscle that has probably been ignored for decades. This is neurovascular re-education, something even most physical therapists overlook. And here's the part most people never hear. When you contract the soleus, you're not just helping your legs, you're literally lightening the load on your heart. A study in the Journal of Applied Physiology showed that soleus activation can reduce cardiac workload by up to 15% during prolonged sitting. That means your heart doesn't have to pump as hard to circulate blood through your lower extremities. Think about that for a second. One small seated movement can ease the burden on the most vital muscle in your body. For seniors dealing with mild hypertension, edema, or even just fatigue from standing too long, that's life-changing. Cardiologists in Tokyo now routinely prescribe seated heel raises as part of post-operative heart recovery programs for patients over 60. They found that those who practiced daily heel raises had better venous return, lower resting heart rates, and improved endothelial function, the measure of how flexible and healthy your blood vessels are. You're not just moving, you're remodeling your circulation. And let's talk about balance, because this is where the results get personal. As we age, the small stabilizer muscles in our feet and ankles begin to atrophy from disuse. The brain loses sensory input from those areas, leading to slower reflexes and wobbly posture. But the soleus doesn't just move blood. It communicates with your balance centers in the cerebellum. Every contraction sends sensory data through the proprioceptive nerves in your ankles, essentially recalibrating your internal gyroscope. That's why people who practice this movement daily often report feeling lighter, more stable, and more in control within just a week. One Japanese clinical trial even found a 23% reduction in fall risk among participants over 70 who did seated heel raises twice daily for 6 weeks. That's better than some balance training programs that require expensive equipment and physical therapy sessions. The secret isn't intensity, it's consistency. Now, if you're wondering how something so simple could deliver results so profound, consider this. Your blood vessels make up nearly 60,000 miles of network inside your body. After 60, many of those tiny capillaries in your legs begin to stiffen, reducing nutrient and oxygen exchange. Movement is the only thing that keeps them elastic. When you lift your heels, you're literally massaging that network, pushing blood through like priming a pump. Over time, this gentle action strengthens the veins, trains the valves to close properly, and prevents the pooling that causes varicose veins and ankle swelling. And here's a fascinating piece of trivia. Radiologists have found that people who regularly perform soleus exercises have more efficient venous valves, visible on Doppler scans, than those who only walk. So yes, this simple grandma move actually improves the architecture of your circulatory system. You might ask, if it's so effective, why isn't every doctor recommending it? Well, here's the truth. Western medicine often focuses on big muscles, big movements, or big prescriptions. The subtle, slow, restorative mechanics of the human body rarely get the spotlight they deserve. But that's changing. In 2024, the American Journal of Geriatric Physical Therapy published a review recommending seated soleus activation as a daily practice for adults over 60 to improve venous return and lower limb endurance. Even NASA uses similar exercises for astronauts in microgravity to prevent muscle deactivation and fluid pooling in the legs. Because when gravity is absent, or when you spend hours sitting, it's the soleus that suffers first. Now, a word of caution. If you've had a recent deep vein thrombosis, DVT, severe varicose veins, or sudden sharp calf pain, check with your physician before starting. But for nearly everyone else, this is one of the safest, most natural movements you can do. You don't need sneakers. You don't need weights. You don't even need to stand. All you need is 2 minutes and a willingness to reconnect with your foundation. Start with 10 slow reps in the morning and 10 before bed. Within days, you'll notice your feet feel warmer, your legs less swollen, and your posture subtly straighter. Within weeks, you may find you stand up from a chair without that little push from your arms. And within months, you'll have something even more valuable. Trust in your own body again. This is more than exercise. It's biology reawakened. When you train your soleus, you're training your circulatory intelligence, your postural control, your metabolic health, all from a chair. That's why Japanese surgeons and physical therapists now say, don't just walk more, activate more. Walking is movement, but the seated heel raise is rejuvenation. It's how elders in Japan keep their vitality long after the rest of the world has slowed down. It's quiet, it's deliberate, and it works. So try it right now. Sit tall, lift your heels slowly, feel the pulse. You're not just raising your heels, you're raising your energy, your circulation, your confidence. Because the truth is, aging doesn't make you weak. Inactivity does. And by reawakening your second heart, you're reminding your body what it's capable of. Power without strain, stability without struggle, and life that flows upward from the ground you stand on. If you felt that spark even once during this exercise, your second heart is alive again. Keep feeding it, because this quiet, steady motion is how you build youth from the bottom up. Now, if you've made it this far, pause for a second. Feel your heartbeat. Feel that quiet rhythm echoing in your chest. That's the sound of life moving through you, and after today, it's moving a little easier, because what you just did isn't just exercise, it's repair, it's renewal. You woke up something ancient inside your body, something that's been there since you took your very first steps as a child, but slowly drifted into silence as the years went by. That deep muscle in your lower leg, your second heart, is awake again. And here's the truth that no one tells you after 60. Your body still wants to heal. It still wants to move. It still wants to be strong. It's not done, and neither are you. Most people spend their later years listening to the language of loss. They hear, slow down, be careful, don't overdo it. But in Japan, where people live longer, walk taller, and remain active decades past retirement, the philosophy is the opposite. They believe in ikigai, a reason for being. Every motion, no matter how small, carries meaning. And that's exactly what today was about. You didn't just move your legs. You participated in your body's comeback story. You told your circulation to wake up. You told your cells to start moving nutrients again. You told your balance system, we're not done practicing. This is what aging actively looks like. Not slowing down, but learning to move differently, more intentionally, more intelligently. Let me tell you something most doctors don't emphasize enough. Muscle memory doesn't die with age. It simply falls asleep. And the soleus, that deep endurance muscle, is one of the easiest to wake. Every time you do a seated heel raise, even if it's just for 2 minutes, you're strengthening not only your circulation, but your metabolism, your posture, even your brain health. Yes, your brain. Neuroscientists at Tokyo Metropolitan Institute for Neuroscience discovered that lower limb circulation directly influences cognitive sharpness, because better blood flow means better nutrient delivery to the hippocampus, the memory center of your brain. When you move your heels, you are literally feeding your mind. That's why older Japanese adults who practice daily soleus pumping report higher mental alertness, better emotional regulation, and even improved mood. Movement isn't just physical, it's biochemical. You're moving serotonin, dopamine, oxygen, the ingredients of vitality, and that's what makes this so revolutionary. It doesn't matter how old you are, how stiff your joints feel, or whether you've struggled with exercise in the past, because this isn't a workout, it's a reactivation, a reawakening. It's your nervous system remembering what it was designed to do, keep you upright, energized, and balanced against gravity. We forget that gravity is the one force that never stops pulling us down. The older we get, the more it wins. Our circulation slows, our tissues stiffen, and the world starts feeling heavier. But when you activate the soleus, you're fighting back against gravity itself. You're telling your body, not yet, I'm still here, I'm still rising, and the data supports it. In a 2024 review from the Journal of Geriatric Science, researchers found that adults over 60 who practiced soleus activation for just 5 minutes a day improved lower body circulation by 37%, leg endurance by 24%, and walking stability by 31%, without any additional cardio or resistance training. That's not a placebo. That's physiology responding to stimulus. Your veins, arteries, and muscles are living tissue. They adapt, they recover, they grow. You can teach your body new tricks at 70, 80, even 90. The human system doesn't have an expiration date. It has an activation requirement. And here's a secret. The fitness industry doesn't want you to know. The key to longevity isn't how fast your heart beats during a workout. It's how efficiently it beats at rest. When you strengthen your second heart, your primary heart doesn't have to work as hard. That means less strain on your cardiovascular system, lower blood pressure, and better oxygen distribution. In Japan, geriatric doctors often measure venous return efficiency, how well blood travels back to the heart, as a marker of biological age. And guess what? In elderly individuals who perform seated heel raises daily, their venous return is comparable to that of people 20 years younger. You can't fake that. You can't buy that. You can only build it, one quiet lift at a time. So next time you're sitting at your kitchen table, waiting for your tea to cool, or watching the evening news, take those 2 minutes. Don't just sit there. Circulate. Lift your heels slowly, breathe deeply, and feel that warm pulse of life returning to your legs. That's your internal rejuvenation system kicking in. You're doing something that costs nothing, requires no membership, and yet gives you back something priceless: independence. Because here's the ultimate truth: longevity without mobility isn't living, it's existing. But when you train your second heart, you're investing in freedom. The freedom to get up easily, to walk confidently, to move through the world without fear of falling or fatigue. Now, let's talk about what happens when this becomes a habit. Within the first week, most people notice their feet feel warmer and lighter. That's improved microcirculation. After 2 weeks, swelling in the ankles begins to subside. After a month, balance improves and fatigue diminishes. But something deeper happens too. Your confidence changes. You start to trust your legs again. You stand taller. You breathe deeper. You stop planning your day around exhaustion. This is the psychological power of physical stability. The body and brain are in constant conversation. When one becomes stronger, the other becomes braver. And you know what's incredible? The Japanese call this process kaifuku, which means restoration. They don't see it as working out. They see it as healing, a daily ritual of self-respect. You deserve that same ritual. Not a punishment, not a program, a practice. Something small and sacred that keeps you connected to your vitality. Because what's the alternative? Stiffness, swelling, dependence, decline. That's not aging. That's surrender. And the truth is, you don't have to surrender. You just have to move with intention. That's the lesson the elders of Okinawa have been teaching the world quietly for generations. They don't chase longevity. They practice it. So here's your mission. Starting today, twice a day, every day, perform your seated heel raises. It doesn't matter if you're 60 or 90. Consistency beats intensity. You're building circulation memory. Think of it like charging a battery. Every rep fills your system with energy. Miss a few days, and you'll feel the drain. Stay consistent, and your whole body begins to operate more efficiently. Heart, lungs, muscles, even digestion. Yes, digestion. Because the improved blood flow from soleus activation also supports intestinal motility, reducing bloating and discomfort. It's all connected. That's the beauty of the human body. When you improve one system, you lift them all. So here's my challenge. For the next 7 days, perform 15 slow, controlled heel raises every morning and every night. Keep your feet flat, your posture tall, your movement smooth, and every time you lift, imagine you're pumping life upward, from your toes to your heart, from your heart to your mind. That's your second heart at work. If you stay with it, I promise you'll notice the difference, not just in your legs, but in your energy, your confidence, and your outlook on aging itself. Because when you learn how to move your blood, you learn how to move your life. And if anyone ever tells you that slowing down is just part of aging, smile and let them keep their myth. You'll know the truth. Aging doesn't mean stopping. It means adapting. It means rediscovering the genius of your body and using it to build strength from the ground up. You are not fragile. You are foundational. You are made of the same biological machinery that carried you through every challenge in life. You just needed a reminder of how to switch it back on. This is that reminder. So as we close today, I want you to take a deep breath, sit tall, and whisper 3 words to yourself. I'm still rising. Because that's what this is about. Rising from the chair. Rising from fatigue. Rising from the limits that others have tried to put on your body. Every lift, every contraction, every breath, it's proof that you're not done. Your body still listens. Your heart still beats strong. Your second heart is awake. And from this moment on, every step you take will carry that rhythm, that pulse of quiet power forward. If you felt something shift today, if even one movement made you feel alive again, I want you to type it out below. Second heart activated. Because this isn't just an exercise routine. It's a movement towards strength, balance, and energy that never retires. You've got this. Stay steady, stay strong, and never forget, walking keeps you moving, but this keeps you alive.